What's going on, everybody? Hello, hello. We are live and alive first thing this morning, or around lunchtime for everybody else, we're assuming. We figured we would change our start time so that more people could actually catch us live. I know that it's harder since we're on the West Coast for the majority of people that watch, so hopefully this is nice. Today we're going to be working again on our Rivenstone alternate sculpt Nightblade. So we're just going to be putting some paint down on him, let you guys hang out, talk about really whatever, our paints, everything like that. So we're just going to kind of hang out as more people arrive into the chat. I'm sure we've already got some people. I don't think we announced this stream at all. I think we're just here existing. So, but streaming on Fridays is going to be more of a regular thing. Do let us know if the audio sounds off, anything like that, and we will try and fix it. But yeah, that's pretty much it. News around the office. Obviously, we posted earlier in the week on the Rivenstone production update. If you haven't seen that, you can check it on Kickstarter. We are looking at a shift in a quarter of delivery. So like we were aiming for June, which is the end of quarter 2. So now it looks like quarter 3. So, but we explained why and everything that was happening. And the day that we actually posted that update, the replacement part that had gone bad in one of our COcast machines actually arrived. And as of yesterday, that machine is running flawlessly in step with the other ones. So now we are back and rocking and rolling. Because yeah, I mean, it was interesting. Like we're down that one machine, but we were still producing just as fast. So, but we were just having to shift like where the production was happening. So, but on the Vial of Progress, or I forget whatever Hannah renamed it, right? But like, the thing that takes the most time, period, is usually the actual engineering portion and then the mold making, and then everything else is super fast, right? So like once that mold is done, we can make 1,000 mini, like run it X amount of times to get 1,000 parts very fast in like a day. So that's not too crazy. And then I think that really, I don't remember if they broke it down by faction or not as well, but you know, all of it is looking really good. So yeah, we're happy. You know, everybody seemed to be totally fine. I mean, it was one of those things too where we had like talked about different possible delivery times in general, but now it looks like we for sure are aiming for that early-ish, mid quarter 4. We don't think it's going to be hitting like holiday season at all by any means, so we're not too worried about that. But yeah, it was just a slight delay because that machine was down. So. But yeah, everybody's been cross-training and everything like that, pushing that forward. And I don't think we really have like any other news necessarily. Earlier this morning, we had another Patreon video go up, and it is all about doing slime and like drool and ooze effects and things like that. So if you are a patron, definitely go check that out. You can check us out on Patreon, patreon.com/brokenanvil or Broken Anvil Minis. I forget which one it is, but either way, you can see that. I have the miniatures that are shipping at the end of this month here on the table. They are ready in COcast now. All the molds are done. But these were the 3D prints that we had shown off earlier. So these are like made out of the master tooling parts. But we have our Catfolk Assassin, who is like part smoke, part not smoke is the best way to put it. But we've got that one here. That's a really awesome sculpt. We have our crazy raptor. We're going to be doing like how to do freehand skin patterns and stuff. So that's going to be really, really fun. And the raptor mold is so clean. We were looking at it yesterday. They have it finished and it's just so crisp. It's awesome. And then we have our hunter here, and she's really cool. So, and I think we're doing like some kind of display basing for this mini. But remember, you can check that out. If you are in the domestic US, it's $25 a month, which includes shipping and all of the video content that goes along with it. So definitely check it out if you are interested. The bundle from last month is now also available on the website. So if you joined this month on Patreon and you want the minis that shipped out in February, you can get them there. They are discounted slightly every month, right? It'll be around that same price. The obvious benefit of joining the Patreon is that you get all the additional content. Last month we had like 5 additional videos, I think, Spencer, or something like that.
Yeah, that sounds right.
Yeah, we had a ton of extra stuff. I mean, that's always sort of what we're planning on doing in general. This month we already have 2 bonus videos guaranteed, like planned. Then we'll have some additional things too that we can throw together. But that is pretty much it. So, as always, if you have any questions, anything like that, throw them down in the chat, and I guess I will start painting is the plan, so we can do that. But last time I was just working, I think, on the blades, and so we'll probably continue to do that. If you want to go on the top-down cam and give them a palette. They don't have a palette, so they can't see what I'm doing. There we go. Now we got a palette. But I was just playing around on the blades. I think what I'm going to do today is continue on the cloak. So I kind of have all of the like rough volumes built in on the cloak, and what I'll probably do is start doing brighter shades and sort of like glaze them down is sort of what I have come to learn is easiest for me with these paints. So I will do that. I'm just going to be using some different warm and cool tone purples to pull all of that off. But yeah, we have paint going out to painters right now, which is really exciting. We already have, I know like Dana Howell, if you follow her, she posted about our paints, I believe, like later in the day yesterday. And then we also had good old James Wapple of Fort Wapple and Kathy. He had a set and he's been working with them. I know he did use them on a diorama video on his Patreon that I think is going live soon, and then he's gonna keep working with them. Aaron Lovejoy had a set. He's been playing around with those. He really loves them. We have a set going out to Jazza and the Tabletop Time people. We have a set going out very soon to Nico from Little Demon Studio, and then also Craft World Studio is going to be getting some for sure. The list is growing every day, but we're really excited to get it in the hands of at least some of my favorite painters, because I know that they will give really, really valuable feedback for us. So, but so far, all of the reviews are really, really good and pretty much exactly what we were expecting. So, but enough about that. Let's mess around with some cloak action here. So I'm going to go a lot brighter, and this is going to be like a magenta pink, but the idea is that I'm going to use it to then essentially sketch in texture, edges, and highlight areas that I can then glaze over to dull down. You may then be asking, well, why wouldn't I just start dull or like the color that I want it to be? And I always feel like it's faster to do this, and then I can control the gradients easier in the actual glazing portion rather than having to mix up and down. So that's just kind of the method that I use whenever I'm doing stuff like that. But there are many ways to approach the problem, so to speak. Let me figure out what angle here is best. Here we go. But this color should be really saturated when it's wet. It'll mellow out a little bit, but we don't really have too much difference in terms of like wet to dry. I know some paints like change a lot. I know AK changes a lot. Sometimes Reaper colors do a little bit. Ours don't really change all that much though, which is good. It makes it really sort of like intuitive as to what to expect when you're working with the colors. Yeah, I am currently in the middle of painting a ton of other people's minis, and by that I mean other companies. So we're going to be showing paints. We're going to be showing what the paints look like on other things that people enjoy. So that way, if you're someone that plays BattleTech, you will see that you can use the paints as contrast style paints to paint your BattleTech minis really easily. If you play MCP, I was working on some crazy like villain doctor robot guy yesterday. He got finished up and he looks really awesome. And he was like a combo of like contrast style and traditional style painting. We have 40K minis. I've got like some Poxwalkers and a Death Guard mini that we're going to show essentially like the contrast application. I'm not sure if it's going to be completely on those, but essentially we're just going to try and show that the paints will work for you for whatever game you use, and that they will help you get really good results, faster results, things like that. Plus some other of our minis painted up, some Rivenstone stuff. I've got a Terrestrial Fiend, for those of you that are familiar with that crazy model. I've got that ready to rock and roll, so I'll be painting him up in our paints as well. I'm trying to think what else we have. Oh, we have like some board game minis. We've got like a Simon thing from Marvel United, a Magneto that I was painting up as well. We have like 120 Sir Tornavirs that are all primed. So that is going to be cool. They're not all getting painted completely though. But I want to be able to show what the color looks like applied 50-50. Sort of like the video we did on Patreon showing off the bases that had the paint on them. But this time around, it will be an entire miniature with coated in one paint. So that way on, you know, whatever we're doing when we release the paints, you'll be able to see literally every single color and how it looks on top of white primer. And then I think we're either going to do zenithal or airbrush a coat, like one solid application directly on top of black. So, but I want to be able to give as clear of a picture as we can with the paints. And then additionally, I know that some of, you know, our YouTube friends, like, well, I was already saying who already has copies of the paint. So like Miniac and Ninjon also have them. They got them really quick with Dana, and then it went to Wapple and Lovejoy, and now everybody else. But they may make some content with it as well. So there should be very quickly, and around the time of whenever they're rolling out for everybody, a lot of content to get a good idea of exactly how they work. So we plan to do like short form stuff, little 5-minute demonstrations and things like that. So I know it's hard sometimes when new paint comes out because they're like, you can see someone using it here, and then it's like a 4-hour video, and I mean, you know, that can be beneficial for some people that have the time, but sometimes you just need to see something really quick. So we're gonna try and cater to everyone's questions and everything like that. We've been coming down to our final bottle selection, naming conventions, you know, the label, everything like that, and we're pretty much ready to rock and roll very soon. So I hope you guys are excited. I know a lot of people keep asking when and where and what about the paints. So all those questions should be rapidly being answered, hopefully. Spencer hates the paints though. He's told me.
Why are you slandering me?
Many times. He said, these paints are terrible. You should just throw them all away and give me all the sets out of the trash.
I disagree with this statement.
He disagrees.
I don't think I said that. Maybe I said that. I don't remember saying it.
Yeah, he doesn't remember saying it, but he did. Okay, just know that he did. But yeah, no, Spencer likes them. We both have a set we got to take home, so that's nice. I have been using them a little bit here and there on stuff. There's like a little 3D printed army project for one-page rules that I'm working on, and they're already getting some of our paint on them, which is fun. But it's hard. I mean, Spencer knows as well, like, we work here all day, and then, you know, we have grand dreams and hopes of like, oh, I want to do this and I want to do that, I want to make an army, I want to play this and that, and then we get home and we're like, you know, the reality sets in that we've been messing with minis all day long, and you're like, well, maybe this weekend I'll fiddle around a little bit. So
it's like going to a buffet and then filling your plate and then actually having to eat it. You know what I mean? Like, you get excited, you buy them, you build them, and then you go, okay, this project's going to take me like 80 hours to complete.
Yeah,
gotta get realistic.
Buffet style hopes. But yeah, Spencer's Oryx are all put together and primed. So those were the minis that we showed off in the Rivenstone Kickstarter update, the ones that were primed and on the really cool bases. Ooh, I gotta take a drink. But hopefully he's doing his test. He started his test paint on an extra one, so we'll see. He's doing like a cool kind of, I don't know what term, like a emeraldy jade. Seafoam,
gray skin tone. I want to run it around in the jungle.
Yeah, so they're gonna be like sort of jungly themed, not the orange skinned sort of barrens dwellers that we have shown before. So, and then I have some Iron Guard, and I'm thinking about doing them. I don't know for sure, but like a really dark sort of, I don't know, like dark blackish blue maybe armor. I was also thinking like a jade green armor, but I feel like Spencer's army is also going to kind of be shifting in like those, yeah, in that sort of palette already. So I'm like, nah, I'm not going to do that. But I could paint him up maybe just like bright red armor too. That'd be kind of cool.
If you did the dark blue, it'd be kind of cool if you hooked in a little bit of rust.
Yeah, I was thinking like I want, you know, in my world, Iron Guard are like filthy and they might maintain their gear, but probably not. So mine are gonna be weathered and well used is the idea. So, but you can see what I'm doing right now. I'm just going in further and further, adding more texture, all that jazz. I don't really know how much. I don't know how saturated sort of this tone is I'm putting. I mean, does it look magenta-y, Spencer?
It does.
Okay. Yeah, I'm putting it in. It isn't. I probably would have preferred to go a little bit brighter as I'm doing this. Like, maybe some more white added into this, but I think where it is right now, I'll be able to tone down relatively safely, so I'm not too concerned. But I just know when I start glazing back on top, I'm going to lose probably like 50% of what's here. So where it isn't super obvious where I've applied it, it'll probably disappear almost completely, but that's okay. The other funny thing too is there's like not a good way to actually photograph anything I'm doing, so the painting I'm doing for you right now on camera is pretty much the only time it will actually exist, because the photo of this mini is gonna look like this, right? So like all of this cool work I'm putting in literally won't be seen, other than by you at home right now, and whoever picks up the mini in the office to look at it. But you know, sometimes that's just how it goes. But have we had any questions or anything in the chat?
Just some nice positive energy.
Nice positive energy. Is anybody like, I'll ask this question, is anyone here that I know? Because I know it was
we've got Carl, keeping it real. Haley Snailey's making an appearance.
Haley Snailey, what's up?
Scrumbly Dumpus.
Scrumbly Dump.
A let's go.
A let's go. Do we know Scrumbly Dumpus?
No, we do know Scrumbly Dumpus.
I thought that was a name that we knew. So,
Scrumbly.
What's up, Scrumbler? It's always good. Hope you guys have had a good week. It is Friday, right?
It is Friday.
Yeah. Spencer and I are gonna hang out tomorrow.
We're gonna hang.
We're gonna play one-page rules. He has some like chaosy guys that he's ready to throw down with. I also have some chaosy guys, but mine are dwarves, so
it's a good fight.
It'll be a good fight. Very competitive. Whoever loses has to quit this job and leave. So
Pink slips soon.
it'll be very intense competition. But yeah, we've been planning on playing for a while, but last weekend was my wife's birthday, so that, you know, she just loves to ruin a good time, so she just had to have a birthday. But
Selfish.
very selfish. But no, we had people over. Spencer was under the weather, unfortunately, so he couldn't make it, so she's very upset with him, but it's okay. But yeah, we had some people from the office over, had a good time. Otherwise, it's been a pretty chill week. We were playing the last Epoch multiplayer last night. That was really fun. I was electrocuting everything in a 1 mile radius with my wizard, and Spencer has Nature Boy, so he was running around. You have minions, right? Wolves?
Oh
Yeah.
The forest is my friend.
The forest is Spencer's friend. Yeah, we didn't think we'd be able to get in because we knew there were like a billion people playing yesterday, and we got in. Even with bugs, it's really fun. So for all the gamers out there, it's pretty par for the course here at the office. We're pretty much all gamers in some form or fashion.
Just a bunch of nerds.
A bunch of really cool people. Spencer likes to call us nerds, but
I mean, myself included.
Look. You say what you want, all right?
I'm part of the group, bro.
Oh, okay, all right. We're having fun. Okay, so I like what's going on here. I like it. I could keep continuing to highlight up like this side of the cloak and hood, but you can't see it. You can see that elbow because, again, like I was saying, the photo is probably going to be right here. You're not going to be able to see any of that. I mean, I don't really know the plan, right? So like, usually on our web store right now, if we have time to do a painted mini, you'll get a shot of like the render and then a static shot in the same pose of the mini, and that's it. That's usually the way it goes, or it's just the painted mini. If it's like a display level miniature or something, we'll do like multiple angles. So I don't really know. I don't know what the retail side of painted stuff for Rivenstone would look like, but obviously we will be doing that very soon. So if I had to guess, depending on what it is, it'll probably just be a static pose. And if it's like, you know, a crazy gigantic sculpt, or maybe heroes get multiple angles, you never know. I feel like that's also a pretty cool angle because you're getting like way more of the cloak. This, you're not, I mean, you're still getting cloak, but what? Tunic, you know? Maybe something like that, something like that, something like that, something like this. Hard to do top down. That's one thing we don't really have like the setup to do correctly, but not that that's a huge deal. I don't think there's like any company that's like, here's the top down shot of a mini.
I think on Games Workshop's web store, like for their, you can tilt it up maybe.
Oh, like the little 360 thing?
Yeah, for their 360, not for an actual, no.
Now, we could do, we could do like an interactive 360 thing, but like the amount of actual work to do that per mini for us currently, like we could do it, but it's just, that's too much work. So
Carl's asking, will we have a gallery of yours and Spencer's and maybe some of the other band members' unofficial color schemes?
yeah, so Will is like really into that. Actually, you should go see what Will's doing if you want to get him.
Right
Yeah,
now.
go bug him. We'll get Will in here to talk about his ideas. We'll get the Hungerford, and then I'll get him underneath the palette camera so you can just see his head like really close. You just shock yourself on the way out. All right, Spencer's gone, so make sure you leave in the chat really nice messages for him. Really handsome guy. You're so funny. You're so popular. How are you so cool? I want to be like you when I grow up. All of those messages will be really nice for him when he comes back in, so. I hear him talking.
Am I getting
What's happening?
goofed on?
Are you getting goofed on? No, everyone in the chat was saying they were leaving really nice messages for
Oh,
you.
wow, that's very kind.
Yeah. Okay, so the question was, first of all, Hungerford has entered the building, but can you let us know in the chat if you can hear him if he's talking?
Yeah, can you hear me talk from here? I talk loud.
So if you can hear him, it's all good. Otherwise, we'll have him come sit in my lap, and
I like that.
and he'll fit right in.
He's hearable.
I'm hearable, according to Carl.
Carl. Okay, so Carl's question
Yep.
was, should we put something together that would show like everyone around the office's alternate paint schemes and armies and stuff?
Unofficial colors.
Unofficial colors.
Yes, in fact, Josh, you and I were talking about this literally the other day. I was talking about how I'm a huge fan of providing people with alternate color schemes from the get-go, outside of the official studio schemes. A lot of games that I play, I usually will go to the official source material and find alternate schemes that I like and go that route. So not only do I think we should provide unofficial ones through like staff armies, but I would love for in the future us to have, even if it's like a blog one day, just like, hey, here's some potential alt schemes you could do. Here's this cool looking Iron Guard that are all metallic with hazard stripes. Or, here's orcs with a different skin tone, whatever it might be.
Yeah, I think that's something too we wanted to do anyway. Like, as we, it's hard because we have so many things going on right now. But like, whenever more people around the office have time, and like everybody also really wants to use our paints here, but assuming we have more paints on hand, and because we used to do like more hobby nights and stuff in general, and then I know we're already sort of planning on trying to do something similar when the paints roll out, so it may be a thing where suddenly we just literally do have a day of painting, and like everybody's working on stuff, and we'll be able to have a lot to show off. So
I've been experimenting with a lot of speed painting techniques lately, and I'm excited to try our paints with those speed painting techniques. I know I've talked to you about it a few times.
Yeah.
Because you're doing, much, I guess, more deliberate and nicer, style painting. But I'm always like, what quick versatility can I get out of something? And you've had some pretty interesting stuff to tell me about what I could do with, like dry brush techniques and things like that with our paints.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll be able to do all kinds of stuff. I mean, like, that's also sort of part of, I was talking about it earlier, but like the stuff I'm working on right now that aren't our minis, but like a good example, right? It's like the battle tech stuff that I'm probably going to do to show off the paint. That'll just be primed white and applied like speed paint, contrasty stuff, because ours dries like really, really impressively whenever you apply it that way. That's super fast. Going on top of like slap chop stuff works really well too. We've experimented it. Like we had a video on the Patreon where we show that as well, but I've also done it more recently beyond that, and it works really well. So we're excited to kind of see, because what's nice about our paints is that they're so vibrant whenever you apply them that way, that like you have such a runway of like color choice. I know that that's sort of something that a lot of those other lines, like you only sort of get so much out of because of the way that they work, and with ours it's like whatever color's in that bottle you're getting completely. So it really gives you a lot of options. That's how I kind of want to do my Iron Guard armor, is doing them white and then applying it in that way, so that way it's super saturated and I get like some of the edge highlighting done really quickly. So whenever I'm working on stuff like this, I obviously spend a long time, but in my personal painting, like the army that I'm going to be playing with Spencer against tomorrow, that's just literally, I want to get it done. So, I mean, I want it to look cool, but I'm not going to spend a long time on it, so.
A lot of nice things said about me in chat.
Oh, are people calling you handsome and funny and like?
Just saying things, I don't know if it's deserved.
Oh, well,
but,
I think so.
Try.
But if anybody has any other Rivenstone direct questions, you got the man himself. You got the answerer of questions hanging out. So feel free to ask anything like that. I did give him the update. The CO cast machine, the part showed up the day we posted, and then now it's up and running. So we're back in action there, which is really nice.
I mean, the important question: Will, are you going to put more dinosaurs in the Oryx faction that I've requested?
There are plans for more beasts in Oryx, some of which are very prehistoric in their appearance. However, the one you asked for specifically is not currently on the docket.
Yeah, I think he keeps asking for like a pterodactyl, right? Like a giant one.
Not just a pterodactyl. Giant.
So we have a question from Carl. It says, while Will is in there, is there any news about Prowl? The current update is that we are waiting for some samples of the final print materials to make sure they meet the quality standard we want out of things like, literally the cardstock quality, the rulebook quality, things like that. The game is done. The game is laid out at this point. Everything is 100% good to go. Now it is a matter of, the actual final physical product that you would end up getting. We want to make sure that it is what we want you to get, for lack of a better term. Like the meeples are right, that the dyes are right, that kind of thing. So we're working with the factories on that, and then once all that is done, hopefully we'll have some news in the near future about how you'll be able to get your hands on Prowl, and hopefully even sooner than that, maybe we'll get to play a game or show you some gameplay of it sometime soon.
Yeah, we can definitely play Prowl in this like setup right here. You can have people sitting, and then we have the top-down camera so you can see the game. We did film a video with Will where he is explaining what the game is and shows components. So whenever we are ready to let that fly, we have that available too. I would guess we might put it on our Patreon first and then immediately after share it out to everybody else. But that exists. We're just literally, that's the game that we're playing right now. Is like, we want to make sure as soon as anything goes out to people, similar to the paints, right? Like the paints are finished. Now it's, okay, cool, we're finalizing bottle label, and then people are starting to test it. Prowl is pretty much at the same spot. We're just waiting on that, like, we know what those final materials are, and then suddenly people can start getting test copies, and we'll be showing it off and all that stuff. So, but, I mean, I like Prowl. I think Prowl's good. I think it's a fun game, so I think everybody else is going to have a really good time playing it as well.
I feel like it's the game that you can play with anybody,
Yeah.
even your non-gamer friends.
Yeah. The theme is fun. I feel like Prowl is like a really good mix of you could like, you know, you could be mean-spirited if you want, but it's not a game that like really facilitates that. So like it's a fun game of everyone's sort of for themselves. You pretty much always find yourself teaming up with somebody else on the table to try and get in a better position. Sometimes there's a little dogpiling depending on who's been more lucky. So there's a little shift in that direction. And then typically towards the end of the game, it is, okay, now I'm trying to win for myself. So it's funny to kind of see like the many alliances that will exist during a game and how they play themselves out. So it is always a good time. But yeah, it's exciting. We're sort of, I mean, that's the thing. We have both of those buns in the oven, and we're just trying to figure out which is going to be devoured first by the public. So it's always a good time.
The buns have come out. They're on the cooling rack, and we're slapping people's hands and telling them, wait a sec.
Yeah, pretty much. That is the good way to put it. But good question, Carl.
Carl says, looking forward to it. I also hope that soonish we'll get to have a little content for Rivenstone, whether it be spoilers, army composition ideas, painted figures. It's a long 5 to 6 months till release. I agree, Carl. I actually had this conversation with one of the boss folk in the office the other day about the beginning of that cycle. You know, there's this sort of lull between the Kickstarter and release where things are just getting made, and you don't want to, you know, if you're hyping for a straight year, that can be actually more detrimental. Where it's like, if we were doing it early on, it's like, it's coming, you know, there needs to be a little bit of a pause, but I expect sooner than later, we will begin producing more content that is exactly along those lines, whether that is what you're watching now with Josh painting a Rivenstone miniature, or if it's a blog about, you know, tactics and strategy, or, you know, maybe even one day some more battle reports. I think there's a lot of different things that we can provide you that I'm hoping you'll start seeing as early as April and May.
Yeah. I know that like there was a transition period in getting us to be able to run all of the equipment in here, which the Patreon and like the stream also is like a good example of sort of it being a thing now. But we're definitely way more independent in terms of the amount of people that can help run and film and do all of that stuff. Before it was only a couple people, and now it's like, you know, we have 4 people that can come in at any time. So that also then means that we are a lot more agile to be able to go, hey, let's do something for Rivenstone this week, and then we can. So that's really nice. It was just one of those deals where everybody just has to find the time to learn how the things work, and then now we've got it. So, but yeah, I was also a big sort of proponent of pushing and getting to like, when are we going to start doing these things? And it's happening. You can put the GIF in the chat. It's happening, yay! Because we're ready to rock and roll. And yeah, I mean, there's so many different aspects. Like, anytime we're releasing just general like RPG minis, obviously it's kind of like, cool, here it is painted, or hey, check it out. Obviously, if it's on Patreon, we have direct painting content tied to it. But with Rivenstone, there's so many different things we can actually do, and it'll be exciting to kind of see what we have fun doing. We always enjoy doing it, so for us, it's just another fun thing to do during the workday. So.
I'll see about getting you your giant murder bird one day, Spencer.
It's gonna be legendary.
A legendary murder bird. Yeah, Spencer's list currently is a lot of murder birds, so.
What's their official name?
Carnotaurix.
Carnotaurix.
The official name that was changed. But in my heart and in my mouth, they will always be murder birds.
Murder birds, yeah.
I
They
like
look really cool,
dinosaurs. I like dinosaurs. I never grew out of that.
I like. Carl says the standardized streams are a good step. I just know we all hunger for more content. Very nice, Carl.
Wow. Wow. Boo, Carl. Boo, boo.
Carl, he doesn't need that. He
Boo.
doesn't need that boost.
Yeah, he eats food. Like, he doesn't live off of compliments. You guys can just, like, rarely do it. All right.
Y'all know what I sustain myself off of.
Diet Coke. That is the key. So all I've been doing in the interim of talking, I was just going back over and sort of glazing down the brighter patches with another darker purple. And I'm not doing any mixing. I'm just painting this directly out of the bottle, which is nice. So now that I've said that, I am going to start mixing. So I'm mixing in our cool tone black into the purple I just applied, so I can go in and add a little bit more contrast and shadow.
We got a question, Josh, about the paints, if they're going to be available when the Kickstarter releases.
You mean Rivenstone?
I believe so.
Yes. So if everything is cool and perfect and the birds are chirping, the sun is out, all that jazz, hopefully they hit at the same time. I would ideally, now obviously none of this is anyway official, but we want to do sets for Rivenstone specifically as well, so that way there may be the ability to have a set that is ready shortly after, immediately at the same time, whatever, in the same vicinity, same quarter, that would have like official Rivenstone pink, Oryx skin, like Risen glow, things like that, so that way you can get those colors directly. So and all of any like custom set we do that is specifically for a game will obviously be named for that game, etc., rather than like the regular paints that are going to be very basic, like you guys have already seen previously. So, but we love that idea. That's something we're hoping we can do, so that way you can all have really, really bright, shiny Rivenstone and crazy neon green Risen colors.
They do really help with the sculpts. They're very saturated, and Rivenstone as a game, I think, lends itself to be really saturated.
Of course, Spencer says that as he paints his Oryx muted, more subtle colors. But hey,
I have my own personal style. Doesn't always fit.
Do as we say, not as we do. Okay.
I paint bright at work.
That's true.
When I'm home, things are getting muddy and dirty and rusty.
Spencer is the house weathering expert and base feng shuier. He also is really good at basing.
Because it's easier than painting.
I mean, you say that, but I don't base anything.
You can't mess up. It's dirt. Just push that dirt around.
I guess.
Well, I am going to go ahead and return back to my desk. It looks like we got through most of the Rivenstone
Awesome.
game-related questions. I'm working on the RPG Adventure module, making updates after a playtest session last night. So, another one of the many buns in the oven.
Lots of buns around here that you are always involved in. So many buns for Hungerford. Yeah.
But let y'all get back to the painting.
Awesome.
Thanks, Carl. Appreciate it. I will see you guys next time. Unless you needed me for something before I get out of here.
No, we just wanted to hang out.
Okay.
Sorry you want to go back to work. Well,
Oh, I thought you just needed me for a second while that question came up.
no, we were just going to have you in. See what was going on.
Oh, okay. I did not realize you just wanted me here.
No, you can leave. It's fine.
Oh, no, it's not. No.
All right.
You get it, Will. You don't want to hang out anymore.
I'm sorry. I thought it was temporary. You just needed me for a second, and I was supposed
It's my fault.
Yeah, it's kind of what you said. You were like, "I come here for a second and answer a question." And I was like, "Okay." I didn't want to intrude.
We're streaming earlier today, okay? Me and Josh are just a little bit more tired.
Yeah, we're having to figure out how that is. So.
Well, now that I know the full story, I'll hang out in case there's any questions.
Alright. Let's see. Let's mess with some beard.
Your beard?
No. No, we're not messing with my beard.
My bad.
Yeah,
Sorry about that.
No.
Sorry about that.
You went behind the curtain. They saw me mixing.
Like the Wizard of Oz.
Right? So I'm gonna go with a very bright blue-gray to start it all off, and then I can work my way down. Now, just a comment on consistency. This paint is pretty much 50-50 with water right now, and so you can see the coverage is really, really good. Going directly on top of almost black. It's very dark. Really thin. But I'm just going to block out the entire shape here and then work our way down with some washing.
There's music on the stream, okay? You just can't hear it.
Yeah, Spencer's dancing in the corner. I didn't know what was going on. Didn't know.
No, I'm good.
I'm good. Alright, cool.
Yeah, Will was saying he wants to. You want to try and do the all metallic with hazard stripes.
It is one of my potential Iron Guard color schemes. Is an almost very traditional Iron Warrior. If anybody familiar with that color scheme from 40K, you know, steel, gold, and hazard stripes. But we'll see. Hazard stripes have always been tricky for me. I would not say I am happy with how well I do them yet. And I would need a little bit more practice.
Yeah, they can be tricky. I mean, I always think going. I guess it depends on the paint you're using too, right? I always think doing the darker bit first and then the lighter bit helps. But it's hard, like, if we were like pretending here. And so I have a strip. Where am I? Okay, here we go. And you've got like a strip. You're gonna be doing the hazard stripe on. About yay wide, I would imagine, on a mini, maybe wider. And it's sort of hard sometimes to know like how to get the angle correct, but I always feel like a hazard stripe is a little bit more forgiving because it's not as obvious if you goof a little bit, right? Because like if you're doing checkers, it's very obvious if your square is like too fat. But so let's get some black here. And then if you can start in a corner is always sort of really helpful because then it helps you know where your angle is. And then you just try and keep it as even as possible.
Yeah, well, just have good brush control, okay?
Well, I mean, his advice is great, and I think what he's showing is that's the part right there. What's happening on screen right now is what I need to practice more. Is that level of control to get those lines as clean as they are.
But obviously that's not good. It's passable. And the other thing too, right? Obviously my hand is flat.
It looks good on here right now.
But it's not even, right? So then the game that you play is like, okay, so now this one was a little bit thicker than the others, so now you have to go thinner, and then you just go back with your lighter color too.
See, Carl the genius, though,
Even
already
amount.
coming in, he knows you can always chip the stripes a bit to make the seam a little slimmer.
That's true.
Just weather
them up.
So two quick questions, Carl. Regarding when there was potential changes to the OGL, like everyone in the industry, we were just kind of paying attention to it, waiting to see what happened, and we've seen the end result. So there hasn't really been any impact on those 5e compatible books coming with Forged. Everything is still trucking along exactly as planned. And for Andrew, absolutely, I think some of the Risen would dye their beards because these are not mindless undead. They have personalities. They're still who they were before they died and were brought back to life. So everyone reacts to that differently. Some people have accepted it. Some Risen have gone insane because suddenly not being able to feel anything anymore or not being able to die is a pretty horrific realization. And I agree with your sentiment. I think some of them would try to hide their undeadness and might dye their beard or do other things to recapture their humanity if they were starting to sort of fracture mentally.
It'd be kind of cool to do like put masks on your Risen, like little, who knows, whatever kind of masks, like masquerade or like a Venetian mask might be cool too, something like that.
What's his personality? Well, you're the war guy.
Well,
Is this guy nice? Is he bad?
well, that's not a named character. So this is a Nightblade, and I think one of the beautiful things about Rivenstone is that these are your, in quotation marks, your dudes. So you get to make your own story for each of these characters, with the exception being the named characters, of which there's very few. So why does this Nightblade have a beard? And I can't wait. Like if I asked 10 players that, why does your Nightblade have a beard? I would hope I would get 10 different stories explaining why this dwarf has a beard.
It's actually someone's hair
Right.
that he's just turned into a beard.
I'm gonna give him lore right now. My lore is he's nice. That's my lore.
He's nice. He's a nice guy.
That's not. I asked. So, Josh's lore for why he has the beard is that it's actually someone's hair that he's attached to the bottom of his skull.
Right.
Spencer, why does this dwarf skeleton have a beard?
Well, he's nice. He's a nice guy. That's my canon.
Okay.
That he's just a nice guy.
Spencer,
Hey,
why does this dwarf have a beard?
I don't know. I think it makes him look nice. You know?
Oh, it's just aesthetics.
Yeah, it just looks good. Do you think I have it in the lore writing department well?
All right, we'll go to 3 categories.
Okay.
Is this naturally growing? Is this hair he has taken from someone else and attached to his skull? Or is this Rivenstone magic whimsy and the hair is growing due to arcane reasons?
I would say, this is a tough question. I want to go back to, he just looks like a pretty nice guy.
Okay. Yeah, he's a nice guy.
I would say maybe it's a magical beard that makes him nice.
Oh, okay.
All right.
It's like a sorting hat, but a beard, and it like turns you into a nice guy.
Maybe the beard that he stole it from, it was a nice dude. So he, like, when he jammed it on him, it changed his personality. That actually is pretty good.
Oh, so it's
right?
kind of like the mask from Goosebumps.
Yes,
Okay,
exactly.
I get it now.
See, well, we got there.
All right, see, just takes a little push.
Yeah, you figured it out. Do I have what it takes, Will? Do you want to work with me?
I am right now.
Yes.
We're working together.
All right.
I got a clogged bottle. Gotta put a needle in it. Again, disclaimer, anytime this happens, these are not our final bottles. These are our sample bottles that we got because they're little and we could get a bunch of sample sets. Okay, anyway. No longer clogged.
We have a lot of chat right now about beard theories, and I like the pet raccoon beard, so I like the idea of painting the beard like an animal.
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
It's just on the face, he just keeps it.
It's a good idea. See, a bunch of creative folks. So I started off with that really, really cool blue-gray, and I started mixing in a brown to the wash, and then now I have a really, really deep red. The trick there with the color theory, TM, quote-unquote, is that I'm just changing 2 different color temperatures. It'll just make it look more dynamic when I highlight it.
Josh, what is the final color for the beard? You're kind of
Like gray.
Just, I guess let me specify so that I understand. Are you trying to do like graying, so like dark with gray streaks, or just a gray beard?
No, so it'll be like the final highlight color will be the same color I painted it originally.
Okay.
So that lighter bluish gray. But what I'm doing is I'm trying to create as much like different shift in color the entire time into the shadows. So that way, you know, the tips of any highlights will just be that last color.
Okay. Cool.
So it'll still look like a gray beard, but it'll just have dinge and twinge to it. So, but it'll probably stand out. Like, I don't want it to be any brighter than sort of the brighter color that's on like the bone dagger. So it just keeps it in that realm, or like closer to the brightness of the cloak. Everything just like, sort of has to be about the same. Usually too, whenever I'm working on something, and Spencer knows because I've used this phrase a lot, I don't like going too bright too fast, because if I were to like highlight this beard all the way up to white, then the rest of everything I have to paint has to match that. So it's a good way to make sure you're not like sort of overblowing any colors too quickly, because you can always go back and continue to highlight on stuff as you're working. So
Carl was talking about me and you showing the techniques we use for our armies down the line in some type of content. I think that is very possible.
yeah, that's easy stuff to do for sure.
Andrew, to answer your question, his question is, are the Rivenstone models coming with blank bases? Yes. You will get a base that has no sort of like texture on it or anything like that. A few of them have scenery elements. For example, Tor and the Saber-Fang Dragoon, the cats are both standing on large rocks, but you are supplied with a blank base to put said model onto.
Yeah, you can see he's on a little statue that he's stepping on, and that would be included, but the base itself is blank, so...
Well, we know that's called a tactical rock.
Yes, very tactical. But yeah, similar. If you've seen the photos of Spencer's Oryx, they're really tall because he threw up, especially like the little murder birds, right? He did like sort of rock outcroppings that look really cool. I always think being able to change elevation and stuff, especially in Rivenstone, where like true line of sight isn't necessarily going to affect too much with like the height of something, so you can do all kinds of cool basing if you'd like.
Absolutely.
Put them on stilts.
Yeah. For anybody watching, if you haven't looked at the Rivenstone rules yet, it does not use, as Josh was kind of alluding to, it doesn't use true line of sight. In fact, the line of sight rules are fairly straightforward, very simple. So when you convert a model or do sort of hobby project, feel free to go nuts. Really, the only thing we warn against is be careful with your overhang. That's not an official rule or anything. It's just, the one thing that has to stay true is the model must be on the base that is provided with it. So if it's on a 40 mil, that model has to be on a 40 mil. You can't change base sizes. But aside from that, go nuts and just be careful if you have a guy that's overhanging like 3 inches in every direction. It might be hard to move him into position around the board.
Yeah, and you can see too on this sculpt, right? Like, even though it's super dynamic, so if you look at it from this angle, you'd think he has a ton of overhang, but in reality, when you look top down,
He doesn't.
it's barely. It's like tip of blade and just the tail end of the cloak. So
That's a good example of a model that, because there's no facing rules in Rivenstone, so you can twist that model any direction you need to in case you need to get, base to base with another model or whatever. Just gotta be careful when you do conversions that you have those angles like this Nightblade does on the front and the sides to be able to do that. And this is also a game that uses verticality, so be careful with models that, you don't make them too tall that they couldn't fit under a building and stuff like that.
the click clack of the
I'm so
keyboard.
bad. Someone was asking about volume, and I was saying how we are going to work on getting mics for this side of the table.
Yeah, we only have one mic currently set up, so
So we've got to yell over here.
yeah. From my perspective, they're just yelling at me.
We must project our voices in order to be heard.
Paint harder.
Paint harder. I love that instruction. That's very good. Very clear. Where are we at on time, Spencer?
We are 10:52. We are approaching.
Nice.
We just got confirmation to continue to yell at you.
Okay, that's good.
How long does this stream go for?
An hour. So we're doing well. We'll be wrapping up here shortly.
Okay.
Yeah, we plan on just doing about an hour every Friday. Obviously going longer if needed, if we have something special we're doing. But easy way to kind of just check in with everybody. And I think we did it last Friday too. And so we're just going to kind of keep doing that. Right now, we'll just keep on painting Rivenstone stuff. Really, I think that's my plan, at least. If we have anything specific that comes from the top down that is like, you need to do this today, then obviously we'll switch. But we have all kinds of stuff. I really want to do the other it's the Risen Knight with like the arm up.
Yeah, the Knight of the Exile, the alternate sculpt of the Knight of the Exiled Order.
Yes, so I was looking at that on Michael Jenkins' desk, and I was like, that also would be really great. But I also have, I don't know if you were in here when I said I have the oh my gosh, what is it called?
Terrestrial.
Yeah, I have a Terrestrial Fiend as well now.
Oh, nice.
So that's gonna get painted up shortly. So
yeah. And if the Friday stream is sort of an open stream like this, I'm sure we'll have lots of other cool stuff that we could do in the future.
Yeah.
And sometimes, like, maybe in between the painting, we can show you concept art of stuff coming up in the future.
Yeah.
Do an unboxing of some of the stuff when the paints come out. I'm sure we'll have a big, like, hey, check all this out.
Yeah. Yeah, that is something that also has recently been starting, is new concept art for Wave 9. No, I'm kidding.
Yeah.
But new stuff down the road as well, which is really exciting. So.
Carl, nothing right now to spoil about Blast Off. That is definitely in the works, but as you can tell from the conversations we've had today, there's a lot of stuff in the works. My guess is that you'll see, you know, obviously Rivenstone and Forge have their Kickstarters on their way. My guess is you'll see the paints and Prowl before you see Blast Off.
Yeah.
And then probably Blast Off shortly after. But I think when we get a little closer to ramping up to the release of Blast Off, that's probably when we'll have more stuff to actually show you.
Yeah, so in terms of like what exists for that project, we know what everything looks like. We know what everything feels like, how it plays. All that stuff is good. We have a bunch of artwork. We've teased 2 robots, so I know that you guys have seen that. And then internally, we have our first sculpt happening. So that kind of is where that project is, to give you an idea. But yeah, I mean, obviously we have Prowl, Paint, Rivenstone, Forged, and then Prowl delivery. I'm assuming Paint delivery, something in between there, most likely, right? So, because like when Rivenstone actually starts launching, that's going to be a lot, because we have the Kickstarter delivery, and then we have like the retail after that,
and then Wave 2.
And then Wave 2 begins, right? So like that's going to be a focus all the time once that exists. That was kind of like what Will was saying, right? Like there's always a lull, and then it just is happening, right? So Blast Off is on the list. We have other stuff too that has been mentioned randomly, nebulously by Chris here and there, that also exists. So we do have exciting stuff, but right now we're just buckled in on like those 4 things, period. So that's just kind of making sure everything gets into people's hands. So, but I think we're pretty much good to wind down today. Do you any last minute questions? Make sure to throw them our way. We'll give you guys a minute or two.
Someone was asking, and I answered, but I figured just for everyone else, are we using our paints for this project? And I responded, we're going to be using our paints for everything.
Everything, yeah. So pretty much everything you've seen all the way back to like that first 32 mil Archon that we did for Joe Manganiello. That was like the first full project done with that. And then everything else that we've been painting has been with our paint. So anything that's on Patreon, anything ever is that. So, but yeah, that is pretty much what you can expect for any painting content. And then as well, right, like the thing with that specifically about the Patreon, so the methods that I use whenever I'm painting are not like brand specific. That's sort of how I've always done it for years. So the only difference is, right, slight color variation, so it's not a big deal. If you were like wondering about the Patreon and how that would function in a world where you don't have the exact same paints, totally fine. All of the painted minis that we've been seeing from all of our patrons that have been following along, so we've seen a lot of mimics. I'm trying to think what else we've seen. A lot of mimic chests, a turkey paladin. I think that's it so far. But they've all been people obviously not using our paints, and they've been having really good results. So, but yeah, everything coming from us will be our paint.
We'll get some rapid fires real fast. Andrew has a proposed rule: we don't get to be excited about Wave 4 of Rivenstone until Wave 1 has come out. You don't tell us how to live our life, Andrew.
Yeah.
Jay Basing, he painted the Turkey Paladin this week from the Patreon box. It is awesome.
Oh, Jay Basic. I know Jay Basic for years. That is a long-time patron of mine before I started working here.
Carl says, thanks for the stream. It's always nice to see you work, and the tidbits of information are very much appreciated. And the final question we have is from John Brennan. Awesome. Out of curiosity, how can I get my hand on those paints?
Out of curiosity, you can just be very upset and wait a little bit. So at the very beginning of the stream, I was talking about it. So we have test sets that have gone out to a lot of people, and we also have feedback already from a lot of people. So like Dana Howe yesterday was sharing something that she had painted using the paints. James Wapple is doing videos through his Patreon right now using the paints. Aaron Lovejoy has been using the paints. We have sets going out to like Nico from Little Demon Studio. Craft World's getting sets. Jazza and Tabletop Time, they're headed there right now. So we have a lot of sets headed out. And there is also a limited amount of time. So they sort of have like a set turnaround time on giving us feedback. So I would assume next month you will definitely hear very rapidly and start seeing a lot of stuff related to the paint as we prepare for whatever rollout that's going to be. So shouldn't be too long of a wait in general. And yeah, I would just assume next month is when whatever is going to be happening is starting to happen for sure. So That's like best bet as I like die and choke on air. Literally nothing. Okay, there we go. But so yeah, next month is really when we're planning for all the action to happen. So, but if that's it, then we're cool. All right. Well, thank you, Will, for joining us. Thank you, Spencer. Of course, hats off. Always master behind the cameras. And yeah, we will catch you very shortly. Remember, a new Patreon video went live all about goo and slime effects. You can check that out, patreon.com/brokenamble. And that's it. We will see you next time. Have a great weekend. I hope you find $20 in your pocket. Your enemies forget how to read and they stub their toe. Bye.
Bye.